The windmill, what a phenomenal exercise this is for integrating the motion of the arms with our ribs, our torso, our whole core. What is this windmill? How does it look like? Well, in the earlier part of this video you already saw me doing it, but I will go step by step the process doing this movement, this exercise, and in the meanwhile I'll also explain to you why this has so many benefits and why you should try to do this as well. Starting the windmill. The first step I'd like to take you through is just swinging the arms. Everybody knows how to do this. We can swing our arms in front. You can call this overhand motion because it's going over. And also the other way around is underhand motion because it's going underhand motion. So these two motions everybody knows and probably does them from time to time. So with this motion comes a fluidity, a flow, because when you're doing this with your arms, you are continuously doing in motion, meaning you don't just stop somewhere and then go the other way around, like throwing a punch. You kind of have to stop here and then pull it back. So with this motion we already have a sense of flow, of continuity, and we will keep this sense through the next levels going to the windmill. The next step we will do is changing the plane of motion. This is through a frontal plane. This way is through a sagittal plane of motion. We will switch this up and go to a frontal plane of motion. So this is the first step into figuring out the windmill. We change our way of motion, but you can see the sense of continuity or flow is still intact. Next up we will do the same, but on the back side of our. So we do this, and we see when I go to the back, my torso also rotates to make space for this movement. Now this movement won't be in a plane just like this, and with plane I mean this side. It will be more a little bit diagonal like this, just because of the biomechanics of the scapula, shoulder blade, and the upper arm makes it so that you can't really do it like that. Only if you fully rotate like this, then yeah, it's all get messed up. So if you don't fully feel it's the same as in the front, you are right. So we go over to the back and we do the same motion, which is a flow, a continuous movement. Now, people with a sharp eye might notice that something changed when doing the front side and the back side. In the beginning of this video I was talking about overhand and underhand. Now when I do this motion, is this overhand or underhand? This motion compared to this motion is different. See? This is an overhand and this is a underhand. Overhand, underhand. So when we transition from the front to the back side of our body, we go from overhand to underhand. Now this is interesting because this transitioning from front to back can only happen smoothly if we switch from overhand to underhand, just because of the way we are positioned in relation to our shoulder and our arm. Now we can paste the front motion and the back motion together and we get something like this. Make sure you do this slowly at first. So we have overhand like this, over, we go over and we switch and we go under and we switch back, over, under, over, under. Now of course this is only the right arm, my right arm. we also need to do the other arm. So it will look like this. We go over and under, over and under. And we continue doing this until we don't really have to think much about it anymore. It just keeps going and flowing. To be able to do the windmill, we have to add one small change, which is not only doing this motion, the overhand like this, but also doing the other way around. So now we are going underhand, and when we switch here we go overhand, under, over, under, over. And when we switch back, we have over and under. You see? Overhand is like throwing something, and under is like bowling, a bowling ball. Strike. Nice. So let's do this also with the left. We had overhand, now we're gonna do underhand. And on the back we have overhand, under and over. Now we have all the ingredients to make the windmill. But how do we add these two together? This can be quite tricky. To demonstrate this, I will push you a little bit to the back so you have a little bit more space for me to see. Hope you don't fall. Okay, so you did fall on my head, but it's okay, we continue. So how do we paste one motion with the other motion? Because we have two arms and we want to use both of them. Let's, for example, start with our right arm going overhand. So we're throwing the ball like that. We go overhand here. Do this a few times. And now when we are here and we want to transition to our back underhand, the bowling, we will add our other arm. When this one is high, the other one is low. So what we're gonna do, when this one goes for underhand, this one, underhand, this one goes for overhand in front. So we have this, see? And we have this. So in the beginning, make sure you rotate a lot, because this makes the movement a lot easier. We are here, and we will go underhand with this one and underhand with it. I think I said overhand, I meant underhand. Excuse. So underhand, we are bowling this way, and we are bowling this way. So when we're doing this, we kind of have this motion. We're going underhand with both arms. Now if we're going to switch this up, so we're here, we will rotate, you see, one arm is under, one arm is up, rotate our body to the other side, and now we have our overhand, so we're throwing with both our arms, like this. This one goes overhand, this one goes like that, together we get this motion, like swimming, but then exaggerated. Now, we are really close to getting the windmill, because this is not a windmill, it's almost a windmill. To get the windmill, we pick this one, and we rotate it into each other. And you can already see what's going on. I am making an infinity loop, and this is what creates the flow element to the windmill. So when we add these two together, we have this one, we go overhand like that, this one is here, we go here, both underhand. Now when you make half a circle, you'll go to the other side, and while you're going to the other side, you are making the motion also to the overhand one. So here, and when we're here, this one wants to go to the other side, we will switch and both our arms will just flow to the other position and flow to the other position. See? Like that. When you're looking at my feet and I'm doing this, I am turning them and turning them. The only element we need to add to this is keeping our feet to the front. So we keep them like that, oriented towards one position. So I'm in this position right now, and I will show you all these elements together. So one goes overhand, and we go here, here, and there. And we can go the other way. We reverse the motion, and we go the other way. Now that you're able to do the windmill, let's go over some of the intricacies. The first one I'd like to talk about is loosening the arm. Most people have the tendency, especially in the beginning, which is completely natural by the way, you should have this, a sense of control in our arm. But with the windmill, to really make it flow well, we want to step away from this control in our arm. So not using our shoulder and arm muscles to do this motion, but only using our core movement to bring this motion in and to allow the arms the freedom and the restrictions in our shoulders to guide this movement. So you don't want any control in the arms. Of course, in the beginning this will be really difficult because, well, the motion is not that easy to execute, but in the long term this will benefit greatly to different specialties like martial arts. If you watch my video how to actually throw a good punch, I talk about this, about loosening the arm and using mostly our core, our hip musculature to start this motion like this, and then our arms is a transmission cord. So this is a perfect example exercise to train this force transmission, to loosen the arms, and only while throwing a punch, using the arms, the muscles in the arms as a guiding mechanism, not the core development of power. So this exercise is really great for this. Now, how to actually do this? Well, we can start first with one arm. So let's say we go in a overhand in the front, an underhand in the back. We will rotate. We will use our rotation in our hips to start this motion and to keep this motion going. So it will look like this. I'm in the front, in the back, and I'm using my hips to guide, and the tensegrity of the fascia in our arm to guide the arm. So right now I'm not doing anything with my arm, only a little bit of control, because I don't do anything, it will look like this. Now this is also not necessarily good. We want a little bit of control, especially when we go back. Use a little bit of force to keep our arm as back as possible, and then keep the motion going. So together with the other one, it will look like this. Now look at my hip. You can see my hip stays kind of level. Of course not fully, it's not possible. Also not the exercise, but it stays really level. And by doing this, while I'm rotating my ribs, I'm tensioning this fascia, and this tensioning will pull on my arm, and doing this at the right moment will set the motion, starting it and then letting it go. So in a punch we do the same. We are rotating our ribs, tensioning the fascia to the upper arm and using it to throw the punch. Building up on this intricacy number one, we have intricacy number two. You might be wondering when am I gonna talk about speed? Because when you are in a flow, speeding up is always really nice to do. I would really suggest first mastering the intricacy number 1 and feeling this tensioning, this lemnisc, this figure of 8 in your hips, and thereby also the shoulders. Maybe this looks like someone you know. I'll show it to you. If you're a little bit familiar with the UFC, even if you're not, you might know it. This is Conor McGregor's walk. He actually utilizes this movement in his walk, and especially a lot of his power and a lot of his speed comes from this motion. He actually uses this quite well. Maybe because he trained with Guido Portal, who knows, just guessing it. But going on with speed, after you worked with this tensioning of the fascia and the loosening of the arms, now we can slowly add speed, because remember, this is not the most safe exercise, especially when you start to add speed. Little accidents might be able to occur, especially with the shoulders, because the shoulders are not really made for stability. They are quite loose in their pocket. That's why these ones go out of their pocket more often than these ones. But you can do this in a safe way by leveling up this speed in a slow manner. So when we talk about speed, we want to stay well like this, go over, do the motion, and start to add speed. So you can see at a certain moment I kind of lost control there, and that's a barrier, that's a limit. So respect that. Don't go over that. Try to calm down and then try again later, or just stay at a lower, slower speed. And if you're doing it right, you will feel all kinds of sensations in your hand, because a lot of blood is sent through the arm to your hand, and not a lot of blood can flow out of the arm because of this rotational force. So when you do it right, you will feel all kinds of tingling in your hand. And this is a good sense, because it means you're doing the exercise well. You are letting go of control in your arm and letting your core do the work. That was the video. Remember, we are morphing beings. We either morph or we die. So let's just morph well. And Brian, good luck. This is not the easiest exercise, but it's a lot of fun. And after you get this, you will feel a lot of loosening up in your spine, in your shoulders, in your arms. Because in the end, this is a loosening exercise, not a controlling exercise. Catch you in the next one.